What is shaking, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about a proven market strategy. Nothing new, guys. The try before you buy concept's been around forever. But I've noticed over the past year or so that this concept has been even more prominent inside of businesses like ours, whether you're a coach, consultant, speaker, author, any of the sort. I'm noticing these folks that have these online digital programs are using this and getting massive success. So I wanted to have this conversation today, as well as always, to chime in here because we had some very colorful conversation behind the scenes before we went live today. Um, about this concept because it almost, if you watch any of my past stuff, it almost contradicts 100% of what
Mhm.
I've been preaching from the mountaintops.
Yeah.
And I want to have an opportunity to share with you my change of heart, but my change of what's the word I'm looking for, strategy, to help you guys leverage this in a way that's really going to help you get better clients.
Yeah.
So, how you been, always? I
Good, man. Good.
minute, man. It's been a minute.
I know. It feels like there's like, oh man, this is like too much of a gap right now.
Yeah, seriously. And then I got to tell you guys, it's been a breath of fresh air since this new standing desk and this whole new office space layout. It's just been freaking amazing. So I'm
Yeah, I
so
see
charged,
that.
so
I see
fired
that.
up. I'm so fired up. Standing and doing these things are a lot different than sitting and doing these things. So
I hear
uh,
you, man.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. But I know you had this question for me that you wanted to kind of share live so we could kind of break this down step by step.
Yeah. So, like Henry said, like before we got on, uh, I was pushing back on Henry. I was like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" Like, man, for as long as I've been following Henry, it's like this guy has always talked about premium, and like obviously I drink that Kool Aid as well, right? Like we show up as the guys that sell premium services. I
Mhm.
was like, Henry, you're putting me in a really bad position here because are you telling me that you're going from premium to freemium? Because I'm not on board with that.
So here's the point that I'm trying to make. A savvy personal brand will be able to do this successfully without going freemium. Okay. So one of the things I've learned from one of my, you know, mentors from afar, we've never met, but I've been consuming his stuff for years, and that's Blair Enns.
Mhm.
One of his commandments is you don't solve problems for prospects until they are fully engaged in you, meaning they have pulled out their credit card or written that check and actually paid you
That's right.
to commence in your services, right? So that's something that I will always continue to do. Is I'm not here to try to solve your problems on a 30-minute strategy call and then have you go away and say, "Well, that was helpful." And now I'm stuck high and dry with a 30 minutes I'm never getting back in my life. So one of the things that I want to share with you is a story. Okay. And this is what prompted this conversation today. So my partner and I in the cannabis dispensary business are in the market for a new interior designer. We're at the phase now where we need to come up with the 3D design for the shop, right? And we're going for a higher end look, a premium look. So we're very specific and intentional with the type of interior designer that we want to choose, right? So last week I was freaking all over the internet looking for specifically, hint hint, cannabis dispensary interior designers. And I found a boatload. So I'm ripping through each one's website, and most of them are very clunky when it comes to creating that first line of contact, right? The contact page is a form that you barely know if they're going to reach back out to you or not. There wasn't even a confirmation that my submission went through, so it was clunky. And then I get to this one particular website, and I felt her. I felt her through the site before I even met her. Like there was a button that says take the quiz, see what kind of style see what kind of style you want for your dispensary. And then there was another button that said book a call. And I'm like, all right, I've seen this 1,000 times. But then when I clicked that button and got to her Calendly, because when you hit that, it went to her Calendly, I noticed that she had this questionnaire in her Calendly built in. And then I looked further and I realized in my Calendly really upgraded their questionnaire embed, right? And I was like, oh, look at her qualifying me. So she had some really pertinent questions, and it made me realize, okay, can I afford this woman? Can I afford this firm? Can I not afford this firm? Who does she want to speak to? Who does she not want to speak to? How soon are we ready to break ground on this? Or is this or am I still shopping around? She was able to decipher all of that in these questions. So I'm going to share with you later in this call what I did on my website to improve my user experience and get more qualified people onto onto a call with me so that they could try before they buy me. But before we get into that, so anyway, we get on the call and immediately I hear her shooting the lingo and with my partner, and she's you could tell she's done dozens of these build outs, right? And so we're both feeling her out. And essentially, we're trying her before we buy her services. And when we got off the call, me and my partner reconvened on a phone call, and we were like, wow, that was a phenomenal experience from website to finished discovery call. That went really, really well. And it was a really strong conversation. So then I realized, okay, that was one scenario that worked really well. We're probably going to go with this woman because of how smooth the onboarding process was just to get on this call. Now, imagine what it's going to be like when we actually hire her. It's probably going to be even smoother. And she was going through a little bit of that process. So, on this discovery call, she got a better understanding of what we were looking for, but then she also got into her process and she was showing us how she color codes things and she sources all the products and all the everything that we would need to build this thing out. And it's all prioritized. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a match made in heaven here, right? So I told her, I said, listen, I come from a branding and systems background, and I got to tell you, your stuff is on point. Like, this is the stuff I teach my clients to what to do, and here you are doing it. So she appreciated that. But that's just one example. There was another example. I'll make this quick and then we'll get on with it. There was another example where I had this guy come on my podcast last week. And here's a guy that runs a network, not a network marketing program, a networking program where he's got 55 chapters across the country, about 250 members nationwide. And when I was explaining to him who I was looking to connect with, he connected me with people immediately and onboarded me into one of his chapters closest to my house, the one in Massachusetts, and gave me the login access to one of their membership calls that was coming up 2 days later. So I had the opportunity to go into that networking meeting with 15 other people, didn't pay a dime. It was an hour of my time, but went in there and got a real good feel of the membership, how the meetings are implemented and facilitated. And I told them, I said, wow, this is really impressive. If this is your business model, this works, because I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to come next week. So I know that this meeting here isn't a fluke, and I want to see how the next meeting goes. And if the meeting goes well, the same as it went to today, I'm going to join. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to join. So I was like, man, we got to talk about this because this strategy really works. My wife did it too with my son's school clothes for the upcoming school year. She ordered a bunch of shoes off of Amazon. She got about 7 pair of shoes. She didn't pay a dime. We tried them on. We liked 2 pair, bought those 2 pairs, sent back the 5. I got
As a matter of fact, you bring up a great point about Amazon. I mean, like, I didn't realize how Amazon has kind of turned into that.
yeah,
They didn't really position, or they didn't come out and flat out say, okay, well, you can try and buy, but typically that's what's happened with that entire, like anything that you purchase from there, you can practically send back. Sometimes they
yes,
don't even, sometimes, depending on what electronic items, sometimes they don't even take it back.
right? My wife did that too. And they said, you know what? Just keep it. We'll send you
Yeah,
another one.
yeah.
It,
Wayfair is another one.
yeah, it costs us more to take it back from you than to just send you a new one.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
all right. So now, how do we do this for you? So I just showed you that one
Well,
example.
wait. So
Oh,
before
go ahead.
before you go into that,
Yeah.
the two scenarios that you were just telling me about,
Mhm.
and maybe someone in the audience can chime in on this also.
Sure.
What was the common phrase or common word? I heard it. I want to know if someone in the audience heard it in both situations that you explained. There's one common thing, and it relates to exactly what you and I do for a living.
All right. Just for the sake of time, shoot it out. Because
Feel.
yes.
Feel. Said you felt that it was the right thing. I
Yes.
felt really good about this,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
Hands down.
there's a good feeling that was associated with their brand while you were going through interacting with their brand,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
right?
Totally.
And then you got
And
a peace of mind. You felt like, you know what, you felt at ease going through it rather than it was you said you were clunky.
yeah. And there was very minimal risk. Right. And I think what I was doing, the way my website was set up for all these years were, maybe I was a little bit more out there. Maybe I was a little bit more connected in the past where people could come and they could just buy $1,000 consulting right out of the gate. But now because I'm a little bit more, I'm not going to say broad, but I have 2 other businesses now.
Yeah.
So it's different. So now I gotta sort of let them in a little bit more so that they can get a better understanding of like what they're gonna sign up for, and get a different vibe from me because I'm not just this guy anymore.
Yeah.
I'm even more equipped for higher value. And so I want to encourage that conversation. And I can't do it if I'm slapping $1,000 price tag on it before you even talk, but before you even get a chance to sit down with me. And so I realized that and I said, times are changing. I need to change. Otherwise, I'm gonna get left in the dust. So again, that's what prompted that. And I've seen it, I'm going through it with my cannabis business as the prospect. So I'm getting a feel for what it's like now, right? Versus me always the one selling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this feels a lot better than me coming to you, or coming to a site and like they don't even want to talk to me unless I pay them $1,000, right?
Yeah.
I got no problem paying $1,000, but is it in the right order?
Hmm.
Is it in the right
Yeah.
order?
Yeah. Well, here's a couple of things to consider. Uh, One is when you're making this change, you said that your times are changing, so you got to change with the times.
Mhm.
But are your customers' expectations changing for your particular service is the question that I would ask of my own client for that matter.
Sure.
Like, are you doing this to keep up with trends that aren't necessarily a part of your industry and a part of your own? You have your own specific positioning that I would argue that not many agencies out there that are competing against you necessarily have.
Mhm.
But you've created your own niche,
Right.
right? So within that niche, is the customer expectation that follows you changing that you have to change with? That's the question that I would say. Like, let's say you came to me as my client.
Mhm.
That's the question I would ask you.
Mm. Yeah, that's a great
Something to
question.
consider.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. I think it's a phenomenal question. I think one of the takeaways of today is really sit with that question
Yeah.
and figure that one out and get some different perspectives on it,
Right.
because it's powerful.
Exactly. Like don't make assumptions about your business based on what the industry overall is doing.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, Henry and I talk about this all the time. Go back to your customers. Those are
Yes.
the people that are going to be buying and making that purchase decision, right?
Yes.
So know what they value, and obviously, if you're telling them, hey, by the way, we're moving from, uh, charging for something to perhaps providing a piece of it for a, at a discounted price,
Mhm.
or something that is no longer that is something that we're no longer charging for.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
They might get excited, but then it's like, what does that do to the value of this in your mind?
Right.
And
That's
maybe get a
exactly.
third party to do that for you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I want you guys to get out of today's conversation is this. One is, I don't want you to lose your positioning as a subject matter
Mm.
expert just by slapping up a, book a free call on my website, um, and unleash that gate, and then let any Tom, Dick, and Harry in, and then half of them don't even show up for the call, and now you're left high and dry, right?
There
Because
you go.
you always heard me complaining about that.
Oh man.
So I'm going to share with you now how you can navigate around that, and have more. The second takeaway I want you to have out of this video is how to get more informed conversations with quality prospects coming in to your door. Right. So here's a website. I actually updated the headline too on the page, because I was thinking about it. What I had previously was a little long-winded. And when I sat down and really thought hard about what we do, like at a brand level, we brand people and help them monetize their expertise. That's it. Like that's what we do. And end of story. So make it short and sweet. The other thing was there were so many calls to action on this homepage. I got rid of like half of them. And I only made one call to action, which is this book a call instead of book an assessment. Okay. Cause that was the big call to action on all the pages, was book an assessment for $1,000. And so I've backed off of that a little bit and minimized the call to actions on this page. Now, what I did was I added a book a call to the navigation so you can get to it from navigation. But let me show you what happens now when you click the book a call. It comes to my Calendly. Okay. Let me zoom in here so you can see it. Now, let's say you want the book for tomorrow, whatever, right? You go to confirm, but look at the questions that I'm asking. And I'm actually putting in price is of the work. So they could come here and be like, well, I could see right now. I mean, the only thing I could afford is a brand strategy for 15. So I'm going to click that. Or they may say, only thing I could afford is an assessment.
Yeah.
So I'll click that. This gives me an idea where they're at, right? From
I
a
like that.
financial. But then
Yeah.
I ask them straight up down here, are you at a point where you're willing and able to invest in your brand and business? And if they click no, now I know where they're at.
Yeah.
Or they may look at these questions and be like, no, this guy's over my head. This guy's way out of my league. I'm not even going to book a call with him because it's going
Yeah.
to be a waste of time.
Yeah. Makes
Right.
sense.
And then they won't even book it,
Makes
which
sense.
is what I want, guys. So I'm not losing my positioning at all here. And I'm doing a real solid job in pre-qualifying them. Right. And then what I did with the assessment was I didn't just can it and hide it and do away with it. I just put it in navigation. So if they want to come here and figure out what the hell a brand assessment is, they can just get it from the navigation. And then I'll take them to the assessment page. The other thing I did was I went to my case studies, and in every single case study individual page, instead of them booking the assessment, they can now book a call with me to see how I can help them. Right. So that is how I restructured the website to have this try before you buy practice embedded into it, So I can have more informed conversations without them taking the risk of buying something that that they might not know if they're going to get an ROI on that investment. And $1,000 is not chump change
Yeah.
for a 45-minute call, right? So
Exactly. So are they now, let's say if they do book a call with you and they're not doing that brand assessment, right? Like, I mean, typically
yep,
you do a brand assessment for like 45 an hour.
yeah.
Um, what is the duration of that call?
Yeah, so this call is 30 minutes.
Mm.
I am basically doing a diagnosis of what it is. Why are they reaching out in the first place? Now, I did this intentionally too. See the name of the call? It doesn't say 30-minute strategy session with Henry. That's not what it says. It says, how can I help you? That's done very intentionally
Mhm.
because that's what I want to know for our call.
Yeah. I'll tell you, so within my own agency community here, what I've been noticing is the much larger agencies have been talking about listing prices, particularly in the B2B area, right? Like,
Sure.
I mean, the engagements vary and offerings and products vary in general. So they've been leaning more toward saying list your prices very clearly on your website.
Mhm.
And I've been, I've been a little tense about that. I was like, I don't know. I mean, like, and particularly when it comes to some of our engagements, they vary.
Right.
And I don't know if you recall, I sent you a particular website, like an agency website, a couple of months back. They had the entire schedule listed on their
Yeah.
website. I was like, Henry, this is not making any sense,
Right.
right? But I mean, and it was hundreds. Like, I think their minimum was like $300,000.
Yeah, I remember that.
You
Yeah.
remember that? Like,
Yes.
holy
Yes.
shit, man! Like, their minimum is at $300,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I like the way that you, I guess, hybridize the two.
Yes.
You still listed it, but you kept it in an area that is not necessarily as visible.
Sure.
Once they're ready to book the call, they can see, and now it's actually it works both ways. It's informing them of what your minimums are,
Mhm.
and it's also qualifying them
That's right.
simultaneously.
That's right. That's right. I'm killing two birds with one
Yeah,
stone. And that was my intention from the beginning. And now we're gonna have a conversation. And when we get on that call, we're gonna know how serious they are,
yeah,
and it's gonna deter some people as well. Like, let's say for this interior designer, if I couldn't afford the 10K engagement, I wouldn't even have booked the call, right? And she let him out a little easy. The two questions were, what are you interested in? It was full interior design, 10,000, and then the question, and then the other option was unsure, unsure, and I was like, I can see why she put unsure.
yeah,
Um, I structured it a little bit differently. Like, I had different options because I do have different options. She only had one. It was full interior design or nothing, right? I said to myself, let me give some more options here and not give him the out of unsure and to have a more bland conversation. I put all of the above so I could get a better understanding. And I didn't give him the out is what I'm trying to say,
yeah,
right? The out is, holy shit, I can't afford this guy. I'm not even going to book this call. That's the out, right? Because I don't want to waste my time on the call with somebody who's not qualified.
yeah,
So, and I don't say this because I'm like, I think those folks are a lower a human. No, I don't think that at all. It's just you don't have the means to the ends right now,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Doesn't mean that means you need to maybe keep watching my shows and keep studying and maybe
yeah.
figure it out on your own and make some money
Exactly.
and then reinvest that money.
Yeah.
We've all done it, right? Do we all come out
Absolutely.
of the
We've
gate?
all been there. We've
Yeah.
all been there. And well, and look, that's one piece of it, right? And I have this conversation a lot with some strategy partners. And like, look, or anytime I'm at a networking event, like, look, one of the things that I want to make sure that before you refer someone to me is they've got to be cash flow positive. I'm not in like, I'm sure that there are agencies out there that very specifically they specialize in resuscitating businesses, and they have the resources available, whether it be from a capital standpoint, whether it be from the, just the specialization standpoint, and even their expertise, right? So they may have all of that available, and they may have been very successful in being able to resuscitate struggling businesses. That's just not where I'm positioned.
Same here, right? Same here.
So you just got to own that.
Exactly. It was so funny. So the networking company that the networking business that I was able to kind of go in free and see what's going on. There's a guy that does branding in there already, right? But when he had his moment to talk, and they asked them, who are you looking to get to buy from you? He said startups and people that are getting into business. And I was like, when I had a chance to speak, I was like, that's exactly the 180 opposite of what I do. I take existing businesses 3 to 5 years and take them to the next level, right? I'm not looking to bootstrap things. That's not what we do here. Yeah. What we do is we take you to the next level.
Exactly.
And
you're entering into the next stage of your business.
Correct. And so he's not even competition to me.
Yeah.
Because he's on a different spectrum when it comes to client base, right? So that was basically it in a nutshell, guys, of the try before you buy, and how the philosophy and how that changes everything and how it upgrades your marketing strategy. So really, guys, I want you to think about this today and ask yourself, how can I integrate this into my business? Because it's doable. But the two things that I don't want you to, just two things again I want you to do. One is I never want you to lose your position as a subject matter expert. I want you to signal with your pricing in the appropriate places, like I showed an example of today. And I want you to leave them wanting more. That's key, guys. I want you to just give them a taste of what it's going to be like to work with you, and challenge their assumptions. Ask the strong conversation. Ask the pertinent questions. Ask the questions that nobody else is asking.
Hey, I got a funny story for that last one. You said leave them wanting more. So, I connected with this particular coach, and she's just getting in. Well, she's been in business for I think about 2.5, 3 years now. And what's unique about her is that she's coaching from a behavioral cognitive standpoint. So that really just, again, that merged right into our approach. So I was like, man, this is really interesting. I want to, let's sit down and talk. So I've met with her twice, and I shit you not, it was the second session that I picked up on it. I was like, you have a knack of ending the conversation with something that leaves me wanting more. That like it makes me think, and I'm like, you know what? Let's set up another meeting.
Yeah.
Or I'd like to have a conversation further. And she just kind of smiled and backed away. I was like, I get it.
She's a pro.
I was like, how am I not doing this in my own business? I'm the branding guy.
Yes. Yes. Right, always. It's so
like, shit, man.
This is great stuff. Like I'm learning so much building this cannabis dispensary from the vendor side, from the prospect, from the customer side of things. And it's helping Unique Designz. It's helping the dispensary. It's helping the other business I have with Fabio, the private estate dining experience. It's helping us realize like how we need to position ourselves, but how to approach and how to invite. I'll give you another thing, and then we'll wrap up. So for the private estate dining experience, what we're doing to get membership, is we are going to have a mock dinner at Fabio's house as if you were a member, but we are very intentional about who we're inviting to that. So what we're doing is we called out and connected with all the major media outlets in the Chicago area, because the majority of, we have 30 members so far enrolled. A lot of them are from the Chicago area. So what we want to do is we want to get the top media outlets from the Chicago area, and we're going to invite them to the mock dinner so they could experience for themselves what it would be like as a member.
It's a good
So
idea.
when they go and do their write-ups, when they go and do their stories, when they go to do their interviews with Fabio in the magazines and on the, right, they now have a feeling that potential members could have, and they could articulate that much differently, right? So that's how we're going to get the remaining quantity of members into the supper club. Is, I think it's going to be late August, very early September, that we are going to have this mock dinner. It was supposed to be July 9th. He had to redo it because he has a freaking restaurant opening up the same day. So we had to reschedule. But talk about that. That's another way of implementing the try before you buy at a premium level.
That's right. So here's one that you can apply immediately for your own business that you just talked about. You just talked about what they're doing for the supper club, right? Well, why don't you do the exact same thing? As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it. They go through that call, have them put a review over there.
Sure.
Have them review you right after the call.
That's a great idea.
Right?
Yeah, that's
it just continues to build up your reputation.
That is a phenomenal idea. That is fantastic.
I'll bill you for that, man.
Now you could set up workflows. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So I do it with a podcast. After a podcast guest finishes the show, 30 minutes after the show, Calendly sends them an automated email that tells them to leave a review, follow me on Instagram, follow me on social media. And then they get another email simultaneously telling them to refer somebody that they know that would be a good guest for the show. And it's all done through Calendly. So what I could do for these how can I help you calls is have a workflow that goes out 30 minutes after we get off the phone, asking them, how would you rate? What would you do? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then get some sort of review going on Google. I could embed the Google review
right in there. Yeah.
Right in there, and have them do it that way. So, and that will build up my reviews on Google. I got to tell you, I've been working hard on getting, I think we're up to 70 reviews on Google. I was trying to get to 100 by the end of the year, which I think I'll be able to do. But that means a lot, man. Go to these other branding firms and like they got like 2 reviews.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, hey, I think I haven't even broken 9 yet. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm at my 9th one, but I mean, again, that's a completely different thing that I should probably be automating and asking people, right?
Why not? So, you give me a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea, Wes. I didn't even think of that.
So
that's why I got you around.
That's why you got me around.
Oh, guys. All right. So let's wrap it up here. Hope you got some value out of today's call. Today's conversation was I loved it, man. It was very conversational. A lot of stuff coming out. We got to show a lot of the things real time and be able to share screen, things like that. You know, if you're loving what you're seeing, every Monday, Wednesday, we are live here. Oasis is typically here with me on Mondays, and then Wednesdays I do a solo or I have a guest of some sort. Come join me every Monday, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, and share your thoughts, bring questions. You know, this is what these live streams are for, to get interaction from you guys and to answer whatever we can with the time that we have, to get you in the right direction so that you could brand yourself and monetize your expertise much faster and more efficiently than most people.
Yeah.
All right.
And what are you, for the subject matter experts, like what are you hearing in your own professional networks that is just constantly boggling you and saying, okay, you know what? This is a topic I want to hear a little bit more about.
That's a great question. Always.
Drop that into the comments.
Yeah, drop it in the comments, no matter where you're watching from, and let us know. And we will do a piece on it. We will do a piece on it. So, all right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one real soon. Take care.